Hey guys, it's Siobhan with To Kitty and Beyond. Today I wanted to talk about trusting your higher self. So there's a process of discernment that needs to come into play when you are learning to trust the inner voice and discern between what is your doubting ego mind and what is your trusting higher self, and what that sounds like, what that feels like, knowing the difference. So this is a very subjective, individual process. I can tell you what worked for me and in hopes that it may work for you as well, but it is going to be a very individual process. There's trial and error that needs to take place there, and everybody is different. So everybody's method or process of listening to and trusting their higher self is going to be different. For me, it started out as a feeling. As an empath, I'm very connected to sensations in my body and emotions and emotional feelings. So for me, I could sort of tell the difference between what was coming from a place of ego and what was coming from a place of higher self by the way that it felt in my body. So having something come up from ego, a negative thought or a doubt, would feel constricting. It would feel almost as if my body would tighten up and tense up. And when I would get something that was from my higher self, it would feel expansive, as if my body would relax and flow into that energy rather than trying to protect itself, in a sense. Then I evolved my clairaudience and I began to become aware of the different sounds and how the different voices in my head were not all mine. Basically, you are the observer, not the thoughts. And we have a tendency as humans to attach ourselves to the thoughts and to believe that we are our thoughts, which we're not. So it's important to observe, take a step back, and become a little bit detached from the thoughts that are crossing your mind. And through doing so, you can observe which ones resonate with you and which ones don't. So I will still have egoic thoughts, but the difference is that now I can disassociate from them and not let them rule me. I'm still the observer, which is the higher self ultimately, which is in control of the ego mind. So my ego mind will come forward sometimes, and it still does, but it's quieter now. It used to be the dominant voice. It was the fear voice. It was, an instant where you would feel doubt, self-doubt, or doubt of something else, doubt of a situation. The voice that says, this can't be true, this isn't true. It tries to rationalize, it tries to be logical, it tries to instill doubt and disbelief, even when it's something that you truly believe in. But it's even worse when it's something that you don't, because then it drives that fear into you and it affects the result. Because as we know, we influence our reality at a quantum level through our beliefs, through our thought. So it's important to not let the ego mind control how it is that you think. It's important to differentiate between the ego and the higher self. So listening to the higher self, for me, feels more expansive. Again, just like with the empathy in the clairsentience, which is the feeling in the body, with the clairaudience, it sounds quieter and it's faster. So I noticed that that's something that also I picked up on, is that when it's coming from my higher self, it's usually my initial thought. It's fast, it's right away, but it's fleeting and it's small. And then the ego comes in afterwards, a little bit louder, saying, no, that's not right. It's the doubt, it's the self-doubt. So the process here is of trusting the higher self's initial reaction. The first reaction is often the right reaction, or the initial feeling or sense of something is often correct. So I'll give you an example. I'm driving down the highway, my car started to sputter, and I felt as though, something was wrong with the car. my first instinct, my higher self's voice came in really small and fine, and she said, turn off here. There was a perfect little parking lot where I could have turned into. And this is a long stretch of highway that is sandwiched between a rock wall and a cliff with only a slight concrete barrier to prevent your car from going off the cliff. So there's not much of a shoulder, there's not much of anything. Instead of trusting the turn off here little voice, the ego came in and goes, no, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. That's like, why would you trust that? You can make it no problem. It's just a little thing. So it's not always like the self-doubt, but it is self-doubt because I didn't trust myself to know that I should have turned off there. That was the perfect place for me to go. Instead, I pushed forward against the higher self and went with the ego in that instance and ended up broken down on the side of the highway in a very dangerous spot, no less. So the higher self will step in to guide you out of danger in circumstances like that. And if you do choose to ignore it, which you can because you have free will, there will be not necessarily consequences, but you'll see the results of the choice that you've made, and they may not be in your best interest. So I began trusting the higher self when I would hear that little voice, because that experience was a learning experience for me. It showed me how not to follow ego and how to follow higher self through trial and error. It's a process of scientific elimination, I guess you could say. So another instance, again, I'm driving and my higher self starts saying, you should turn here. And I'm like, where? I'm not going that way. I know how to get home. I have to take the highway. I have to go this way. And then that's my logical mind, my conscious mind, not necessarily the ego, but it is the rational mind. The higher self goes, no, trust me. So in this instance, I go, okay, I'm going to trust you. We're going to turn right. We're going to see where it goes. Through a process of trusting the higher self at every single turn, I was led to, it's called ISO Spa in Ottawa, Ontario, and it was a flotation center. So you go into a sensory deprivation tank and you basically meditate and just float for an hour in water that is so filled with magnesium that you float as if you're weightless. It was amazing. It was transformative. And that was just where I needed to go that day. That was what the higher self wanted me to do. And I had some very profound realizations and visions. So that really strengthened my belief. And the more strength you have in faith in yourself, in trusting your higher self to know what's best for you in each moment, the more you can begin to follow the direction of the higher self, follow the promptings of the higher self in that moment. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I 100% follow my higher self's direction all the time. No, that's not the case. But when it is an expansive thought or an insistent thought, I will follow it. And the times that I don't, I often regret it. So here's another example, a little story time from today. This actually happened today, and it's very similar to the experience that I had that took me to the flotation tank place. So today, I got in the car and I wanted to go to a forest or a park near me so that I could meditate around some trees, because it's very beneficial. The energy of the trees are extremely healing. They're infused with the energy of the earth as well as the energy of the inner earth societies, which are very high vibrational. Some of them anyway. I won't go into that, but there's a lot of very beneficial and now scientifically proven healing that can come from trees. So I'm wanting to go out to a forest. I was going to Google map forests or parks near me, and my higher self said, no, just trust me to take you where you need to go. And I said, all right, higher self, take me where I need to be today. And again, I drove not knowing at all where I was. this time having no knowledge of the landscape, no knowledge of the area. I just moved into this area and I've never been here before. So the first time that this happened, it was in the city that I knew. This time it's happening in a city I don't know. So I'm following my higher self blindly, taking lefts and rights and turns and going through farmland and through all of these different places, and I'm like, where the heck am I going? I'm getting further and further away, and then my logical mind comes in going, you're wasting gas, you're wasting time, what are you doing? My ego comes in going, this is a wild goose chase, like there's no point to this. But my higher self is insistent, and she keeps going like, no, just trust me, keep going. Right here, left here, go straight, keep going straight. So I follow, and half an hour later, I arrive in this different town, like the town over, basically. And I'm looking around going, okay, well, I see, there's like a Wendy's and there's like this and that. Where's the forest? Like, I'm trying to go to a forest. I need to meditate. And I'm driving, and all of a sudden, my higher self looks to the left, and you can tell when it's your higher self directing your vision, because you'll look at exactly the right time to see something that is symbolic or important to you. So pay attention to what it is that you're paying attention to in specific moments throughout your day. And I look over and I see meditation center, and my higher self goes, you have arrived. Just like Google Maps, it's like higher self GPS, right? So I pull a U-turn and I pull into this meditation center, and it's a Buddhist temple. And I've never been in anywhere like this. And I'm a little shy. I don't necessarily put myself out there all that often. I can do it from the safety of my own house on the internet because I'm just me talking to my phone or my computer. But when I'm out there in person talking to people, I get shy. So I just, my higher self kind of forced me out of my comfort zone to walk into this temple and introduce myself. There was a prayer going on, so I walked right in the middle. I'm like, oh God, I'm sorry that I'm interrupting and all of this. And they welcomed me in, and they sat me down, and they gave me a prayer book so I could follow along. And I read out the mantras and was singing to songs that I'd never heard before. And there was these beautiful golden statues of Buddha and offerings and pictures of their guru. And it was amazing. And the energy in there was palpable. It was so expansive and so purifying. And then at the end, I sat and talked with them, and I didn't know how to explain how I came to be there. So I just told them the truth of what I'm telling you right now, that my higher self literally guided me there, and I had no idea where I was going. But I was supposed to be there at this time. And they said, that's interesting because we only do this meditation, what they called it was a purification retreat, once a year. So the fact that I showed up on this particular day at this particular time was divine alignment. Like, you can't make this stuff up. And that was exactly what I needed today. I needed some purification because I've been feeling a lot of waves of energy coming in from the sun and from the collective. There's just a lot of purging going on, especially around the full moon, which was the 29 degrees of the Libra pink moon. So there was a lot of energy, emotions, all this stuff being stirred up in the collective. And I'm like a filter or a lightning rod for all of this energy. So it's important for me to clear it and to ground and to purify. And that's exactly what this allowed me to do in the presence of these monks. So like, how amazing is that? And then afterwards, I'm leaving. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use my actual GPS to get home. Thank you so much, Higher Self, for getting me here. But I'm going to use technology to get home. And I'm pulling my first right, and all of a sudden I see a park. There's this perfect little park, and it's got little willow tree and flowers, little blue flowers and little pink flowers all around this little pond. And there was a little walkway that goes all around, and it was beautiful and it was perfect. And I sat and I just absorbed the frequencies and the light codes coming in from the sun and kind of went over everything that just happened in that moment and over the course of the day of trusting my higher self. And it was really, really magical. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, because when you are in alignment and when you trust and have faith in your higher self to guide you, this is when the miracles happen. This is when things just synchronistically work out. This is when luck takes over, when being in the right place at the right time is just a constant occurrence for you. When you're in alignment, everything opens up, everything expands, and the connections that need to be made will be made. And it's a magical gift from the universe, from yourself. Ultimately, it's your higher self is God, is source. It is the all. So of course it knows what's best for you. It's done that. It's your future self. It's your present and past self. It's all things. So that was a really awesome experience for me today. And I wanted to share that with you in hopes that this will give you some insight and or guidance to allow you to trust your higher self, to learn to discern between the thoughts in your mind, the feelings that you get, and the synchronicities. So I'll make another video on synchronicities, talking about all of those, because I've been receiving so much information on that as well. But I wanted to share this higher self information first. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.